Okay, we got the PPI inflation numbers. The market didn't really like them very much, but as I said, I don't think that the PPI numbers are the ones that we should be looking at. We're going to be looking at the CPI numbers, which are the ones that are going to happen next week. And I'm going to show you why I think that those are going to get the rocket into the air and probably going to get the markets up big time next week. Also today, it's a Friday. We're going to banter. I've got 3 of the smartest minds in crypto joining us. We're going to talk about our top 20 or top 5 altcoin picks for 2023. I've got theirs. I've got Arthur Hayes' top 20 altcoin picks. So I've got that. And I've got some really juicy news for you about none other than Sam Bankman-Fried again. I know we said we're not going to talk about it, but we have to talk about it. So let's do this. Doesn't that feel like so Christmassy? It like makes you feel like you're in December, but that's I told you, the guests actually, when I played the song, the guests sit there going like this, and you guys can't see it, but I saw it. We had you on the screen there while you were dancing to the music. That's what happened there today. I love it. Listen, guys, welcome back. It's Friday. We're going to banter. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to our channel. I told you, we're going to bring you the highest alpha per minute shows on the internet, and so far we've been delivering. All you need to do is join the fam and give us a Christmas gift. We want 600,000 subscribers before Christmas. We are on 593,700, which means that there's not many days left for you guys to help us get out to our target. Also remember, because it is Christmas, I've got a new Christmas hat. We're going to be doing some giveaways today of what's in the box. That's going to happen. Also, before no notifications again.
Yeah, because you're playing table.
You know why? Okay. You know why there were no notifications? I'll tell you why there were no notifications. Because YouTube has this thing that it only does 3 notifications per channel per day. And we were on a good wicket, and we had notifications going on all my shows. But then Sheldon and I decided to play table tennis and stream it on YouTube. Guess what? Guess who won? Actually, I'm not going to tell you who won. Go and watch the show. James, who won? Allegedly. Oh, someone said they did get a notification. All right, let's go. Let's start. Just remember that these Friday banters are brought to you by none other than our best sponsor in the world, NordVPN. They have been sponsoring all these big Friday banters since we started, and they are the crypto VPN. And I said to you guys before, if you don't use a VPN in crypto, you're basically on a suicide mission. You saw the MetaMask news. MetaMask said they were actually basically collecting your IP address, which means they know exactly where you are when you make every single transaction. Now, if that's okay with you, that's okay with me. But if it's not, you can protect yourself for $3 a month. And you can help the channel, and you can help us bring more banters to you guys. I also said to you guys last week that we had this massive target that we wanted to hit for NordVPN, just to say thank you. And thanks to you guys, we actually hit it. But let's not stop there. Let's go and let's help them, and let's help them because they helped us. Cool. Let's get into what happened today on the markets and what is happening today on the markets. Fairly quiet day on the markets. We had the PPI numbers. So let's put everything into perspective here, right? The numbers were worse than expected. So the actual US PPI month-on-month increased by 0.3% versus what people expected, 0.2%. But the reason why the markets aren't really responding badly, and I'll show you what it looks like. If you look at the NASDAQ is now pretty flat. If you look at the futures, the reason why the market's not actually responding that badly is because if you zoom out, and you kind of say, okay, let's look at PPI, which peaked in March at 11.7%. Then you had April, 11.2, and we got all the way down. And you know what? In November, we're still 7.4, which is quite a big drop from where we were in October. So I think this is actually good news. I know the market didn't respond very well, but I actually do think this is good news. I think that the PPI number is not the important number. The important number is the one that we get next week. I've said to you guys what I think is going to happen next week. Next week, I think what's going to happen is we're going to get the inflation number. We're going to get the number under 7.7%. That's going to happen Tuesday. Wednesday, FOMC meeting. I think Powell increases interest rates by 0.5 basis points and not 0.75. I think we get macro exploding. And then the question is what crypto does. Are we going to have the worst year that Bitcoin's ever had? Are we going to remain at number 2, which is kind of like where we are today? Or is it going to get better? That's the question. And to help us answer those questions, I've got Jose, I've got Jordi, and we've got a new guest. We've got Ishan. Welcome, guys.
Good to be here.
What do you think of my thesis for next week? Inflation under 7.7%, and then on Wednesday, Powell increases interest rates by 0.5 instead of 0.75, and then we basically go to the moon on the stock market. What do you think?
I mean, the 0.5 is locked in as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it matters what else happens, right? In terms of the inflation reading, we'll have to see. It's kind of being very hard to predict. Like it's just all over the place. Inflation numbers are just so noisy.
Yeah, I also think there's so much noise around everything else, especially in crypto, that I can see equities ripping, but I think we're starting to see a couple days, and I think it might be a kind of a trend going forward where not a full decoupling, but crypto's just kind of run on its own based on everything kind of going on big picture. And then I think a lot of that is going to come out to like what is going on with the SBF case, and kind of whether he gets subpoenaed, whether he comes in, what he says when he testifies. And then, like if we do get a low print and we do get, good numbers, then equities are probably going to rip, but I don't see like crypto ripping as hard.
Don't you think that we've seen everyone that wanted to exit has exited, everyone that could have been liquidated has been liquidated, everyone that's given up has given up, and what's left is the bunch of retards that are not selling at any price ever? Like that's kind of like how I see it.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much down to go. I don't think that people are kind of throwing their money to buy at the moment. I think there's still a little more pain and suffering that might need to happen, as far as just like maybe a lot of sideways chop. And I still think everyone's just kind of worried just kind of keeping an eye on regulation and kind of the hearing next week, whether he shows up or he gets fully subpoenaed.
What do you think happens? What's your guess? You think he shows up?
I think he shows up. I think that it's kind of on trend with what's been happening the past week. You've been kind of seeing him make the PR rounds, and I think that's really telling as far as what his kind of goal is right now, which is to establish his narrative. And I think that he's doing a really great job. I think all of us that are kind of in the day-to-day, kind of see the facade. But if you're average TradFi Joe Blow, you're just like, oh, okay, he made a couple mistakes, or it's like a run on the bank, and this happens all the time, and he's a genius, right? Like you don't get to a $32 billion valuation of a company without stealing customer funds and knowing what you're doing. So he's going to keep on just kind of propelling this narrative, and as long as he reaches enough people, or he just screws up enough potential jurors, he's playing a really smart long game. So I think he does show up.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like the genius thing. I have my tweet from yesterday was basically like, what does smart mean? What does genius mean? Because you have these people that they're so good at certain things, like getting a good valuation and selling and finding investors, but then they're doing like completely redacted stuff that is just blowing up. Right? It makes no sense. Can you really consider those people geniuses? Like, it's high IQ, but I don't know if you want to call it genius. And I actually feel like, this is my like head scratching kind of like gif right here. What does it mean to be smart? What does it mean? Like, are these people smart? Like they're very high performers, high IQ, but they're doing some really dumb stuff. And
here's the way I see it. And I said it yesterday on a Spaces. I think Sam Bankman-Fried is not the best looking guy in the world. and I think that's the way that it's always been. I'm being diplomatic, I don't think he got better with age. Like I think it was like his chart was down, not up. And I think then all of a sudden, so he must have got no attention, and he must have really craved attention when he was younger. And I think he was also quite geeky. Just to add, like you don't look good, and then you're also like quite geeky. So I don't think he was the most popular guy in the world. And then I think what happened was he all of a sudden got all this attention. Like he got this attention that he became addicted to. And the problem is that now he's addicted to the attention, and he just can't stay out of the limelight. And so how
many spaces have you been on him? Like how many you've like interrogated him a few times in the last few weeks? Like how many times you've gotten a lot of cracks at him, right?
I have got a lot of cracks. I think I was the first one to get him to admit to actually commingling customer funds and fraud and stuff like that. And to be honest, I actually don't want to speak to him anymore, because I think we're just giving him a microphone to portray the persona that he wants. And now he's addicted to the attention. I think he is gonna attend the Congress hearing, because I think he has to. I think if he doesn't, he's declaring war against the US government. And I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do when you've probably committed some kind of criminal act. But, I think whether or not he lands up in jail, a lot depends on the process that's followed from here. Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, my internet's not working great, so I'm hearing you guys on and off. But yeah, I definitely think he'll show up. He loves. I think he loves it. He loves the attention. I don't think he can stay away from a camera, no matter how many. It'll be interesting to see long term whether this is a good strategy or not. Like I think he's really good at the PR. Clearly, whenever I listen to him, even though I lost a decent amount of money on FTX, I end up feeling bad for the guy. So he's definitely really good at what he does. But I don't know if this will play out well in the long term with some of the admissions that he's made for the actual legal case, right? There's a reason lawyers tell you not to talk in these situations. And yeah, not sure this will play out well for him long term.
Jose, I need to ask you something. I mean, we sat at dinner in Lisbon, and I said to you, get your money off FTX. How did you manage to still have money or lose money on FTX? I need to understand what... We were literally sitting at dinner. I sat next to you. I said, look, here's the tweet.
To be fair, I managed to get out probably 85%. My last withdrawals just got stuck, and I was closing down positions, and I was just being lazy. And I was like, there's no way this guy's going bankrupt. Every single on-chain footprint I've seen of Alameda was them just raping people and making a killing. Every single interaction I've seen with them on-chain was that. FTX seemed like a money printing machine. I still don't know how they lost $8 billion. I've read all the threads and stuff, but it's just so much money. It still doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, I got most of it out.
Okay, so you got most of it out. I alerted you, and 2 million people saw my tweet before FTX went stopped withdrawals. 2 million people saw that tweet. I don't know how many of them actually acted. I saw this, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to get Ishan onto the show today. So this is a 20-part thread that Ishan did on the October 5th, 2022. So this is not like one of these guys that said, hey, I knew FTX was going to go down. Here it is. It's all tweet stamp, timestamp. He said, I'm taking all my capital out of FTX and going short FTT. FTX has been swinging and missing all year long on so many activations. And so, and something shady is going on at FTX. He has 12 reasons why I'm coming out. He wrote a 20-part tweet thread, which included things like volume being down. He looked at the volume numbers. He looked at the DEX numbers, which we're going to talk about perpetual DEXs like GMX and Gains later on the show today. He looked at the fact that they had splintered attention, because he said instead of focusing on one goal, like making the best possible trading product, he said attention is getting splintered. Top execs leaving. We all know about that. Market manipulation allegations, which now we believe are true. Allegations of being short, naked short, Celsius. That too. And he wrote a 20-page tweet thread, a 20-part tweet thread. How was that trade for you, Ishan?
Yeah. I think it was the single greatest trade I've ever made. It's funny having Jordi on here because as soon as I was never involved with Luna at all. I never had a position, never took any position, but I definitely was not there on the front lines shorting. And I kind of told myself that if there was a pretty obvious kind of debt spiral going on, that I just wouldn't miss it. And so I was there on the minute chart, kind of watching it flow between, 22.1 and 21.9 on FTT for like the 3 hours before it kind of broke down. So yeah, definitely a generational trade for me personally.
What was your trade? Just short FTT? What was the actual trade that you took?
Yeah, it was just totally levered up naked short FTT. So I took everything out of FTX. And then I not only so I mostly did it on a decentralized on a perp trading platform, Gains Network. Disclosure, I am a core contributor, but they have kind of all the optionality of so many different things. So once I had the conviction in it, it was just like short FTT, short Sol, even at that point short Bitcoin, and it was just like it was just pretty obvious at that point that there was going to be a bank run of some kind, or a lot of people were going to go for a bunch of withdrawals. And then as soon as you started to see things about, hey, some bigger guys with size, they were getting their withdrawals paused, and then some smaller ones were still getting deposited, it was pretty obvious that there was.
Wait. Stop. Just hold on a second. Walk me through exactly your trade, and walk me through exactly what you were thinking when that barrier broke. Just I need to get into your head at that moment when, like that, it's that one moment where the whole thing just fell apart and you're short. You need to take me there.
Yeah. So I was in a meeting with my team, and we were just on like a long meeting because we were not really doing much, and we were kind of just watching the charts and looking at the news. And your tweet came up where you were telling a lot of people to get their money out, and I think this was kind of early in the day, whatever day that was. And then you just if you were to look at that minute chart, and I actually went through with a reporter, and I actually went back through the minute by minute chart, and if you saw, there was a 4-hour stretch where it was like in the minute by minute, it was like, because Caroline had said the 22 number, we'll buy all the FTT at $22, and so she had already put the target on her back. And if you were to look at that minute by minute chart, it seemed pretty obvious that somebody was defending that as a peg, or like someone.
Yeah, I was trading it minute by minute chart. I traded it live. I went long, short. Yeah,
and so you could see it was just like 21.9, 22, 22.1, and then boom, it would start coming back down, and then it would flip up for a 4 or 5 hour span. And so it was so obvious. I was just like, every time I kind of felt like, oh, it's getting a little too high, to hit like 22.2, 22.3, like, let's put in another short. And it was pretty easy because Gains allows for a lot of leverage. So it was like I was still pretty I was able to kind of hedge as well. But for the most part, it was just like a bunch of shorts every time, and I was just hammering it away.
On what kind of leverage? On what kind of leverage? Like were you 10x? Were you 100x?
Yeah, no. So it's like between 10 and once it was like getting really ugly, and once it kind of broke down a little bit, like no more than 25. But that's just like completely degenerating out. But
on
like
FTT and Sol and Bitcoin.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, there was
I have some of the share trades on my profile from that time.
I mean, after it broke down, I remember this. Like, I remember looking at the charts, because at some point there was a tweet that they're getting bailed out by Binance. It never happened, but at that moment, there was a huge short squeeze. So if you were short, you would get blown the F out being short, because it went all the way up.
But it didn't pass 22. So it had went down all the way to like 13. Then I stayed up all night trading that night. So it went all the way down to like 13. And then when the Binance LOI news came out, it ripped straight up to like 19. And then once it was, and I was so upset at that time because
Did you close at that point?
No. So I had actually went to sleep. It was like 6 a.m. and I had to be up the next morning. And so I had went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning and I was so upset. I was like, oh, I just left like so much money on the table because it bounced back from 13 up to like 19. And I was like, oh, let's just set it right. I set a couple stop losses at around like the 2021 level. And I was just like, oh, what's going to happen? And I was just so upset. And then boom, it just, the LOI came out that, they were like, oh, these books are too bad. And then it tanked again. And so that's when
just walk me through the numbers here. Like how big were these trades? Like, I'm trying to relive the experience, bro.
Yeah. Of course. No. So it was about I think like a $5,000 trade with around like 10x leverage in total. And so I had cut it around, I'd cut it around $7. I didn't write it all the way down to 2. I kind of took the 7 and I was like, okay, the RR here is just like, doesn't make sense. So I think I came out with like 10K to like, or from 5K to like around like, I think it was in total like 80.
So I was thinking like hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know why, but I just thought I was just thinking like there's airplanes and private jets and yachts and
my size is not Jordi's size. Jordi has size. I have size like that.
I think I'll have to say like it's for the best because we'll talk about this, but the way games works, one person's wins is like the protocol's losses. If he was actually like making millions, it might have been the end of Gaines' network. He would have shorted FTT into like the LPs.
We will go there. We will go. Okay, I just want to talk about one more thing around FTX before we go. Jose, you wrote a thread yesterday or maybe the day before around FTX's involvement in potentially depegging Luna. A lot of stuff's happened since then. He's still denied it since then. Do you think still that they were involved in this trade?
I mean, it's hard to say. I know that him and Alameda executives generally were famously sort of bearish Luna, and a lot of the events line up in a way that's sort of suspicious. I mean, if people followed the Luna story, their $500 million sell in February 2021 kicked off that DPEG event. They listed perps around like a month or two before this DPEG happened, and yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if this doesn't come eventually.
Is it just me that I've lost Jose?
No, Jose's like skipping.
Yeah, let's just try getting back.
It literally was like the first to move on chain on that Sunday morning, and the way it was timed, right? It was like during the night it was during the night, moved into the curve pool, like was the first to move. Was just like indiscriminate selling. I don't know. It's hard to see who else in crypto has like that much capital and where all the facts line up that way, right? But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I mean, I hope that comes out at some point from the Genesis loan book.
So I mean, there's two things that I'm not sure about. The first one is, at some point, LFG bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin using UST from Genesis, right? That was on the 5th of May, I think, if my dates are correct. On the 5th of May, 1.5 LFG bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and they used UST from Genesis. Do you think that Genesis then held the UST if their plan was to short, kind of thing?
I don't think Genesis would ever have like Genesis is a lending firm, right? I don't think they would ever hold like $1 billion of like unhedged UST exposure. Like, and that's kind of what I mentioned at the time. Like, if they're buying $1 billion of UST, it's because someone has already borrowed it, right? Like, they're not going to buy that to hold it. So I don't think Genesis did this either. Like, obviously Genesis, I don't think takes directional bets like that. I think it was just they bought it to lend to someone. It's just or multiple parties. Who knows? I mean, this is all speculation at this point, by the way. But it's just
and you think that, potentially you're speculating that the party that they were raising the UST for was actually FTX or Alameda, or one of them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not here. Yeah. Okay. Look, I guess the truth is it doesn't really matter, because if there were flaws in the Terra Luna stablecoin, and the Terra Luna stablecoin could have been attacked, whether SBF attacked it or whether James, our sound guy, attacked it, doesn't really matter. Like, it was fundamentally flawed, and eventually someone was going to attack it. And actually, it's probably better that it got attacked when it got attacked and not later, because it was just growing and growing and growing, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, like, it's interesting to think about, like, what kind of counterparties even like had that kind of size, or were like, all of the largest counterparties were kind of in on it, right? So like, who else had the kind of size? It's not like it was like Justin Sun and the Huobi guys, or like, it's not like it was the 3AC guys. So like, there's not too many counterparties out there that were just like totally out, that are kind of known as big of sharks as Alameda was. So I kind of find it hard to believe it was anybody else, but yeah, to your point, at this point, it really doesn't matter. But I think it just kind of shows like the overall kind of like sentiment that they had, where they were just like, total sharks with no regard for anybody, and like, you know, I guess maybe even taking this like effective altruism thing to like a whole other level, where it was like, hey, we'll just take people's money in a PvP environment.
You know,
I just have a feeling that like more and more stuff is going to start coming out about them as people start rolling over. I was hearing some stuff about a year, well, I guess like April during the Bahamas conference when I was at FTX's conference. I was hearing some crazy stuff that I put like 0% chance on being true, like 1% chance. People were saying Alameda was involved in some of the hacks, like some of the, I don't know, wormhole, like some of like the big hacks that were happening, like the $100 million DeFi hacks, and they were saying Alameda was behind them. And I just thought like there was no way, like they would never ruin the reputation by doing this. But everything that's coming out is starting to point to the fact that they are so desperate that they would just, you know, go after whatever protocols they have. And they had some really technical people. I mean, 4 of their devs wrote Solana, right? Like they had a big piece of contributing to Solana. So they have a lot of smart contract knowledge, a lot of knowledge of where to find the hacks. So did they hack people? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I think we're going to hear a lot of stuff.
Okay, let's move on. I think I just want to bury. Can I just say let's bury FTX and SPF. It's enough. And I honestly, like, seriously, this happened like a month ago nearly, and we're still talking about it every single day. So let's just stop talking about it and let's talk about 2023, because that's actually much more important. And specifically how to position your portfolio for 2023. And in that spirit, we for the last couple of days have been revealing people's 5 best altcoin picks for 2023. We haven't revealed Jordi yet. We revealed Jose, who said ETH, Sol, Matic, GMX, and Injective. I'm getting his vibe here. Injective because he wants exposure to Cosmos, and he doesn't know how else to get exposure to Cosmos. Am I right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And Solana because you were in Lisbon and you saw how amazing the developers are, and the chain works so bloody well that you're just thinking to yourself, this thing's gotta be cheap. Especially when you look at a chart like that and you go, it's 19 times away from its all-time high, whereas the Matic is like 3.2 times away from its all-time high, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think Solana is going anywhere. Like seeing the community, and obviously I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, seeing the community, seeing the people in Lisbon, they have a real like differentiated dev ecosystem. Like I think people who don't go to the events and stuff and who just sort of tweet about it don't really realize. I think they are I've been to most of the ecosystem events of most of the L1s, and including Cosmos and stuff, and I think they're probably the second.
Is it just me or is it
outside of Ethereum, I'd say, and those devs are also like me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you guys still hear me?
We can.
Yeah, those devs are like differentiated and loyal because unlike with a lot of like EVM devs, they can go with any EVM chain, right? Whereas a lot of the Solana devs, the Rust devs, they've learned to use the Solana libraries, they've learned how to use that. It's like it's a different kind of community. It's also different kind of vibes. Like I think Ethereum devs are a certain kind of person. Solana devs are generally like high frequency trading or finance or startup world, and Solana is actually their first like blockchain experience. So yeah, I think there's a lot of talent there and it's not going away.
Okay. Go ahead, Jordi.
Yeah, I'm curious. I guess like the first question would be like, you know, I guess like how I guess predatory do you think like some of these move chains are going to be, like Apto Sui? Like how much of that kind of market share or maybe that developer talent could they take? And I guess I'm curious your guys' take on just like the general alt L1 trade of like how you think it's going to play out. You know, like is there still going to be a lot of developer environment? Is it all just going to be like L2s? Like that's generally my thesis right now.
I have like talked a lot.
Yeah,
of
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Okay.
Go.
So I've gone through like a lot of the Solana founders over the last couple of weeks. I've called them. I've had meetups with all of them. I am shocked that most of them are staying and they're kind of committed to Solana. They want to see it through. They want to see how it goes. I think what Jose was saying is kind of true. Like they got used to the libraries and you know, it's really hard to write on Solana. It's really hard to do DeFi on Solana. It's extremely hard. And the ones who kind of figured it out, it's just they don't want to have to start from fresh when they put so much work in.
Mm-hmm.
There's an NFT community. Everybody points to that as being like one of the reasons that, there's some retail, there's some NFT people that are very passionate. I'm a bit surprised. I thought more people would move. I think Say will get some people because they do have a Solana VM on Say. So I think there will be some movement there, but kind of surprising. And maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but we'll have to see. It's speculative.
And I think the Paradigm guys, they just launched a kind of a Rust, like a Rust client for ETH validator. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm curious your take as well.
Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the way I see it is like Ethereum is the leader. It's the king on like every dimension, network, ecosystem, dev mindshare. And so to come at the king, you got to be like 10x better and differentiated on some dimension, right? And that's why I'm kind of bullish. Like Solana, I think the being very fast and like dev community are good differentiators. I am also bullish on like the Move chains. I think Move is a very interesting language. Like we've had some of our devs playing with it for a while, and it might be a 10x improvement over Solidity. As in it might literally help devs write apps 10x faster and also like 10x safer. So I think that's really interesting. But yeah, I think Solana is one of the ones that sort of differentiated enough and has enough of a community that it's not going to go anywhere. And this is like the test, right? Every community goes through these tests. Like Ethereum had it early on. Yeah, and you're kind of seeing Solana devs react to it, right? You've seen Serum get forked now. There's like an order book, and you're seeing a lot of the devs pull through and like fill this hole that was left by like not only in predatory token economics, but also just like obviously they were they ran the Solid thing with the wrapped assets. They were admin keys for a bunch of these protocols, and I don't think they were a good influence on a lot of it. So I think it's good riddance, and it's going to be painful, but I think devs will come and fill the holes.
So I want to ask you, so in terms of the move chains, the two prominent move chains today are Aptos and Sui. You can't invest in Sui yet. You can invest in Aptos. Currently, if I look at the fully diluted market cap of Aptos, I think it is about 4 or 5 billion. I haven't looked at it today, but so Solana's got a fully diluted market cap of, hold on a second. Let's just try and get these numbers right. So 7.5 billion, that is the fully diluted of Sol. And if I go to Aptos, hold on a second. I think it's like 5 bill. I mean, can you justify investing in Aptos at 5 bill when Solana's at 7.4.8? Like, I do want exposure to move. I didn't get into the round, even though it was offered to us at the time. I didn't get into the Aptos round. And I'm just thinking, like, how else can I get exposure to move?
Yeah, like I know this is like one of these like big, I guess like Sybil or like airdrop farming. Like a lot of people are trying to get on the Sui testnet and kind of same thing with Aptos, right? If you played on Aptos and you I think like minted their like generic NFT that they offered, then you got like a pretty sizable airdrop. I think like airdrop farming is like, I don't know, kind of like a hot topic right now. Not my personal cup of tea, but I would kind of play around on Sui testnet if you want that a little bit of exposure, and you can kind of get it more or less for free. But overall, I mean, like I do think like object orientation like makes it a lot easier to kind of build a lot of these, like an account based like orientation is like a lot easier to build a lot of these like very complex DeFi applications, right? And there's a lot less of these like general risks of entrancy and some of these other things. So like I think the Aptos number is still crazy, like and with like mostly just like copy pasta projects on there. So like until they get like real unique developer activity and they start to kind of do interesting things that like the big guys do, like Solana is, Solana hacker houses are like infamous and kind of like the cool place at every conference. Everyone wants to get into the Solana hacker house. Everyone wants the Solana shades. If anyone at Solana is listening, I would love a pair. But
they've been making very many more since they lost 185 million on FTX. I'll tell you that much. Jordi, Move as a language, Move as a platform for you. What would your entry point be? Would you be getting into it, or are you saying stay out of it?
I'm talking to projects. I like to go straight to the the builders. The builders think it's it's a good language. They think the Sui version, which is different than the Aptos version, they think that that's a better version of Move language. So
I would agree.
it just feels like a lot of incremental
Agree with that. We
plus
would
one.
agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if that's the case, though, like why would you buy Aptos if there's about to be like a new one in Q1, Q2 that's supposed to be even better than Aptos? So, you know, it's for me, I agree with Jose. Like it has to be like 10x better, and then I get interested. I don't want to do like, okay, like this one is slightly better than that version, I just want like a 10x. It's clearly better, then I'm interested.
All right, I'm going to get into Jordi's top 5. I'm going to try and guess. I haven't seen these. Fred put these together. Matic, ETH. It's got to be something really smart. So Matic, ETH. What else would Jordi put his money in? It's going to be like it's something like from completely left field. I'll tell you what. It's something to do with Cosmos chain. He's told me before how much he loves Cosmos, but he wouldn't buy the Atom token. So he would probably buy like an Osmo or a Juno or something because there's no real value in the Atom token. Let's see let's have a look. Okay, so and I haven't seen these. Fred did this. Okay, so Bitcoin. ETH. You'd buy the Atom token, the actual Atom token. You'd buy like the one for the actual Cosmos chain, and then Matic.
I mean, Ran, we've discussed this. You get these like airdrops. It's beautiful.
Yeah. There was another chain that used to give you airdrops. It was called Luna. So you'd stake your Luna, and then what happens is you get like all these airdrops. I don't know if you remember that. And then what did you say? Unlisted projects like Say and some derivative perps being built. But I thought you didn't like the derivative perps market.
I love the derivative perps market. I don't like Oracle-based ones like GMX. I like order book ones because I think that's the only sustainable way. So
okay, hold on.
I'm talking to every single project that's building order books.
Okay, just for the viewers, I mean, I understand the difference between an Oracle and order book, but maybe just explain to the audience what the difference is between a perpetual DEX exchange that uses oracles versus an order book.
So the difference is like you have a real market or you have a fake market. If you have a real market, you have like real people trading against each other. So there's somebody who wants to buy and somebody who wants to sell, and then you match them off, and then you get price discovery. That's when people figure out what's the fair price. You know, where does like the real price actually happen? Things like GMX and like all these other ones, they basically say, you know, we're using an oracle to tell us what the price is, and you just trade against us. So we're the house. So I would say it's like you go to a sports book and you're betting against the house, and then they kind of give you like a shitty price because, you know, they have to make money. So they can charge you like 10 bips or 8 bips or whatever. And they have last look. Last look is when they can kind of update the price before they give you the price. So you don't even know what price you're trading at. So for me, that's not like very good execution. It's fine. Sometimes retail don't care about execution. They just want to trade. They don't care about like getting like 2 bips, 5 bips better. But institutions do.
So wait, so GMX and GNS are both Oracle-based platforms. I can kind of see the danger in these things because if you bet against the house and your bet is too big, and I mean, you could bankrupt the house at some point, I guess. What are the top DEX perpetuals exchanges that are order book based today?
So the only one of note right now is DYDX. They're by far the biggest. So these guys have been building for like a long time. They're about to like launch on Atom. So they're about to go to Cosmos, sorry. They're going to do their thing. It's extremely risky what they're doing. Like I'm excited, but also scared. There's one reason I didn't put DYDX on my list. Actually, there's 2 reasons. One is there's a huge unlock in like 3 weeks. At the beginning of the year, you have a huge unlock. If you look at like their token supply, it just goes vertical. So I will buy DYDX once everybody sells, and I'll buy like in a few months. Right now, I'm just waiting for everybody to get their tokens, and then I'll take some later.
I love this show. I mean, the alpha that you get on this show, you can't get this alpha anywhere else. Smash that like button. I'm giving you alpha here. Bring everybody here. You see people aren't here because we played table tennis. on one of our notifications. Bad mistake. Okay, so Ishan, you are one of the contributors to GNS Network. We have to disclose that because otherwise people say we don't disclose it. And my name is Run, so there's no transparency without RAN. So it's TRAN transparency. So that's how it works. So in the spirit of transparency, Ishan is a contributor to GNS. When I heard what Jordi said now about GNS, I'm about to go and sell my GNS position and go and buy DYDX. That's how I'm thinking. What are you thinking?
So I think risk parameters are really important, right? So while it may not create like the ultimate trading environment and the most like clean, pure form of like an order book and kind of the best version of kind of like market parity, I do think there's like a really strong value prop of like, being able to be the house. So like investing in the DAI pool. While and kind of understanding that there are risk parameters in there to make sure that the pool is never going to be like fully bankrupt. And I mean, if you think about Vegas, right, in like the sports book kind of analogy, right, like there's a reason that Vegas is Vegas and that it is as large as it is, and there's billion-dollar casinos everywhere because the house doesn't lose, and so as long as you understand kind of the like the risk parameters, like you can't have too large of a position size, you can't really go beyond like a 900% take profit, and so there are kind of things in place to protect the DAI holders, and so as long as you understand that in reality, they still usually do match up longs and shorts, right? In these systems, it's usually longs pay shorts, and then there's a funding rate, right, to kind of help balance that. And so when you combine those factors, you really don't get off like a huge layer on a different position. And so if there is a situation like FTT where it's like everybody's just piling on shorts, then what the smart thing is, and everybody does this, right? Sports books do this, centralized exchanges do this, where they cut the market, right? And they kind of shorten the market. And like there's kind of permissionless parameters in there to say, hey, if there's this much of volume on one side of a trade, then we're going to reduce the max position size of a trade. So while I do think that there are kind of reasons, I think it's still fairly
what I would say, I'd say like the main thing to remember for the viewers is like this space is going to be massive. Like in my mind, it's one of the biggest opportunities in crypto, right? And you'll hear smart people disagree about the value of the different designs. And the reality is it's all trade-offs, right? And it's probabilistic. Like I'm sure Jordi doesn't believe in or doesn't like the Oracle model, but it's probabilistic, right? We don't know for sure what's going to work and what isn't. For me, I kind of I hold all these things. So we invested in DYDX and Say. I hold GNS and some GMX personally. I'm most bullish probably on the order book design, just because I think Oracle will always going to be little brother, right? You need a centralized exchange where price discovery happens, and then you basically copy that price and like import it into your system. So you're never going to be like the primary price discovery venue if you're using an Oracle model, because you're always dependent on someone else. So order books and AMMs, in my mind, have more of a chance of being the primary price discovery model, which is why I put in.
Every time we say something smart, it cuts, which is a problem because every time he brings the alpha, it cuts. I can't hear him. I wonder if we can. Hold on a second. I'm try. If you can try, just ask him to reconnect, because I can see that he can't reconnect. Okay, so Jordi, right?
Just to wrap up on the Oracle thing, I think there are markets that are so huge, so big that you don't need price discovery. They're not in crypto. Crypto markets are not big enough. If you want to do like S&P and you want to give people around the world the chance to go long and short the S&P or the NASDAQ, go for it. Like the Oracle, use an Oracle. There's no one's going to manipulate the S&P. It's trillions of dollars. No one's going to do it. So, for those markets, I don't know like regulatorily how it plays out if you want to offer equity indices online, if SEC is going to come after you or what it is. But, if there's a way to do that, that's different. That's fine, because those markets are way too big.
We are
if you could just you give today's alpha, if that's okay with you. All right. I'm gonna go to, because I want to get through all these picks. Let's quickly go through Arthur Hayes' picks. Again, I haven't seen Arthur Hayes' picks. Fred did this. I know Arthur's a massive ETH bull. I think he's a massive Matic bull.
GMX.
He's a huge GMX bull. So I'd say Bitcoin, ETH, Matic, GMX, Something else on Ethereum. Arthur's Ethereum. He's all in on Ethereum. So it will be something else on Ethereum. I don't know what, maybe Uniswap or maybe something like that. Let's have a look at that. Let's see what he's got. Arthur has got, oh, okay, hold on. I completely forgot about Lido. Okay, here it is. That's Arthur. So he's got GMX, Lux, Lido, X2, Y2, and ENS. Sorry, forgive my ignorance, but what is X2, Y2?
It's just like Lux. It's an exchange. It's an NFT exchange.
Okay. Interesting that he hasn't written. I mean, I'm also holding Lux, full disclosure. Interesting that he hasn't written Lux off yet. Like a lot of people have written Lux off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a play on like just the total demand of the NFT market, and that, you know, you kind of have these, I guess, like decentralized alternatives where, you know, people can list. It's I think low or it's zero listing fee, and it's one of those where you kind of get paid to list and Lux tokens. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on like the token design, but it seems like, you know, it's one of those where there's just a lot of emissions, where you get emissions for listing NFTs in certain categories or in certain, I guess, like, you know, certain projects. And then you also, when you stake your Lux, you get paid some of the, I guess it's a lot like the GMX model where, like, you know, OpenSea charges a fee, Lux charges a fee, but they give that to Lux holders or Lux stakers. So I think it kind of falls in line with kind of that GMX GLP style tokenomics model. So
Okay.
that's probably why.
So I'm going to, Ishan, we haven't known each other for very long. This is the first time I've really heard you speak. I haven't seen your picks. I am going to take a guess and say that GNS must be on it because you're a contributor. I would say your number 2 is probably GMX. So GNS, GMX, I would say ETH, I would say Matic, and I don't know the rest. So let's see what you've chosen as your top 5 picks for 2023. GNS, no surprise. Again, full disclosure, transparency. He is a contributor. Lido, tell me why you chose Lido, you and Arthur.
Yeah. So I have a really strong proof of stake thesis. I think, like, you know, if you believe that proof of stake is kind of here to stay, and you believe in ETH mainnet, and even not just ETH mainnet, right? Because Lido is on Solana, is doing managed staking, is doing Atom staking, right? And so if you just have a general proof of stake thesis, then like the leader in the clubhouse, I mean, like, think about what, you know, how large of a company you must be in order to kind of give away market share and like admit that like having too much market share is kind of like bad for the overall industry. So they're like kind of happily giving away market share to, like, you know, our ETH, like Rocket Pool and Frax ETH. And on top of that, it's like, what protocol has more just like pure cash flow than Lido? I mean, I've worked with the Lido guys. I've worked in the Lido team. I've written for Lido, full disclosure. And so, you know, you kind of see the insides of the team and you realize, like, oh, this is a lean team with a shit ton of cash flow. And there's not many other projects out there that have that level of cash flow. And, you know, some of the guys over there like Vasily are some of the smartest guys in the space. They're some of the most advanced guys in the space that have been doing this for so long, that if you believe that proof of stake is here to stay and that, you know, liquid staking derivatives are going to be more common and people aren't just going to go run their own nodes, which I kind of don't see happening anytime soon, then, you know, Lido is probably a good bet.
What about Lido versus Rocket Pool? So I know Rocket Pool is the other big proof of staking service. What do you think about Lido versus Rocket Pool?
Yeah, Rocket Pool is awesome. It's two very different ways to look at the problem, right? Where Lido is like, hey, let's gain market share and then decentralize over time. So let's kind of start here and move over as we kind of grow. And then Rocket Pool is the opposite, where they're just very like, we have to be as decentralized as possible from the start. Our validator selection has to be like very, very I guess like decentralized at its core, and then we'll kind of like slowly gain market share and get bigger. So it's kind of like, you know, what your preferred taste is. I think like as an investment, I think Lido is already so integrated into DeFi, like with, you know, Steth, Rapsteth, that it's going to be hard to kind of take away some of that share. But I guess that kind of goes over to the next point, which is like Frax. And I think Frax has kind of an interesting way to look at the staking model. So yeah, also
Frax, what's Canto? Sorry, I feel today.
So Canto is a new L1 on Cosmos. It's you know, all of my like super big Debbie friends are just like really into Canto, and essentially they use like a different liquidity mining model where instead of projects kind of throwing out a shit ton of tokens in order to do their liquidity mining and bring users in, the L1 itself is kind of the liquidity mining campaign, and they give out tokens to devs, they give out tokens to users in order to incentivize the use of the applications on Canto. So the thesis behind Canto is like a DeFi native L1 without the need for projects to put out shitty tokens and shitty tokenomics. They can use great tokenomics on Canto and then let the Canto kind of platform or protocol itself kind of do the liquidity mining and kind of get all the kind of, I guess, shitty tokenomics out of the way there, bring the users in, bring the devs in with that Canto, and then, have cool applications on the L1.
Jose, what do you think of his selections? GNS, Lido, Frax, Matic, and Canto.
Yeah, I like it. Original. Yeah, I like Canto's Scott Lewis's project, right? There's some super smart people building there for sure. I don't know where you lost me before, and sorry about that.
Is it a listed token, Canto?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the market cap? Sorry, this is one of the times where I don't know what's going on. So let's quickly look at what the market cap is.
Yeah, it's not too large. It's number 358. Market cap is 150 million fully diluted, 54 right now.
Okay, sounds reasonably good. I mean, for what you're saying, have to do obviously a lot more research. Let's go back to the sheet here. There are a couple of others that I want to look at. Avishal from Electric Capital sent me his. I mean, I kind of imagine that Near Protocol would be on there because he loves Near Protocol. I think GMX would be on there. I think Aptos would be on there. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right. Okay, so Near Protocol's on there. Osmosis, interesting. I thought Osmosis was pretty overvalued at these numbers. Magic Eden. Is there a Magic Eden token? No. Okay. Is there a Magic Eden token, Ishan?
Yeah, there's an Eden token.
Is it Magic or Eden?
It's just Eden. I think this is theirs. Oh, I don't think it's theirs.
No, Eden is a MEV token, an MEV play. I don't think it's Magic Eden. Jordi, do you know of a Magic Eden token?
I'm not sure. I would imagine there is one.
Okay. Cool. Let's look at another one here. I've got another one here. I've got Shachaf Bar-Geffen, who's the founder of Koti. They built the Jet stablecoin. He sent us this portfolio. Let's look at the portfolio. Sol, Ada, Koti, of course, Matic, and obviously his own project, Monkey Ball. Okay, no surprises there. Let's see what Miles Deutscher chose as his 5. So Miles is 5. ETH, Matic, Bluebird Index. Oh, the Twitter index, that Doge, that Bluebird Index, and then Arweave and Dopex. Jordi, I know you like Dopex, right?
No.
Was it you that? No.
I don't like Dopex. I'm interested in what Avo's going to do. Like the Ribbon guys, they're really the ones who kind of brought options first into DeFi, and they're the ones going to do this proper order book model, which I support. And they're going after Deribit's volume. So if anyone's going to do it and do options properly, I'm having an eye on them to see how that does. I guess it's part of the Ribbon ecosystem. So we'll see. But that's the only options play that I'm kind of interested in looking at.
Okay. So look, we're going to keep this spreadsheet going. And then, as I said, what I'm going to do, I think the last show we have is next Friday. Then I'm going to reveal my 5 picks. Truth is, I haven't really got my 5 picks that I've picked yet. I'm still listening to everybody else. Every time I do listen to everybody else, I start questioning my Sol position. Should I put some into Sui? Now I'm going to look at, now my whole weekend's gone because I've got to look at Canto the whole weekend because now I know about Canto. So, I mean, super, super interesting. While I've got you guys here, maybe you can help me with another bet that I'm taking. Let's quickly do this. Hold on a second. Help me with the soccer. Ooh. So, yeah, let's look at, this is one of our sponsors, sportsbet.io. Croatia, Brazil, I went Brazil. Netherlands, Argentina, I went Netherlands. I went for the upset.
Oof.
Ooh.
Jose, what do you think? Am I mad?
I think it's possible. What about Morocco, Portugal? That's the big one.
What do you think? What do you think happens in Morocco, Portugal?
I mean, come on, it's got to be Portugal.
Yeah,
Jordi, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Can lightning strike twice?
I mean, you got 5 points. Your odds here are 5.75 to 1.
that's steep. I like the over 2.5 goals in that game.
Okay.
I think if Morocco wants to win, they're gonna have to come out and fire, and obviously Portugal can score a little bit. So I kind of like the over 2.5 there.
Okay. Which is okay. So is that this bit over here?
Yeah.
This one. Oh, that one. Okay. What about England and France?
That's the big one. That's the one that I'm keeping a really close eye on. France is kind of
has to be a draw, right? Like it just feels like it's gonna be a draw. It's gonna go to penalties. It just feels like full time is a draw. I don't know.
Is this a crypto betting site, by the way? What's this?
Yeah.
What's this built on?
Just you're such a DJ, bro. Sportsbet.io. It's a sportsbet.io. They're one of our sponsors. You can plug in with your MetaMask, which is why I use them, because I don't actually want to do transactions on my credit card here. So you just deposit your USD, you're using your MetaMask, and then you can take bets. I want to put. So I've got these are my bets currently. I've got very very vanilla bets, which is I've got Netherlands for the win and Brazil for the win. Now I need to know what I'm going to do with England France. Help me.
Yeah, I think draw is an interesting play. I think I usually shy away from the kind of public sucker bets, and I think France is kind of that. I thought Spain was kind of that. In that entire quarterfinal round, somebody was going to lose, right? There has to be some upset, and everybody was just kind of banking on all the big names winning. But that rarely ever happens statistically. So you're going to get a lot of plus EV on kind of taking a big dog in that situation. One of them dogs are going to hit. So I kind of like the idea of Jordi's draw. I think that's you'll get good odds on that.
I've put $50 on. I've put $50 on the draw. Morocco, Portugal. I still need to put a bet on Morocco, Portugal. What do you think?
Over 2.5.
Over two. No, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go for the world. Every World Cup has an upset. Every World Cup has that that one moment. I don't think Lightning can strike twice, but at $50 on a 5.75, I think it's worth putting the bet.
Sir,
what do you think?
You're betting against Portugal here?
You have a Portuguese here with you, Ran.
No.
He's here as a guest.
You
don't do that to guests.
Okay. Look. Okay, so you see, this is one of the other features of the platform. So if you make a mistake, I learned this because I made a mistake the other day. You can actually cash out. So here we go. So now if I want to cash out, I can just cancel my bet. So there we go. I cashed out. I reversed my bet. It cost me 25 cents. Oh, it's doing it now. All right, listen, guys, it's been a great show. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much for being part of the fam. We'll see you all again soon. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Jordi, Jose, Ishan, welcome to the Banter fam, but I think we're going to have you here much more often. Yeah. Listen, Ishan, do me a favor. Next time that you see a obvious short like FTX and stuff like that, phone me, bro.
I think Jordi might be a little bit better at this than me, but yeah, happy to.
But Jordi didn't tweet it 1 week before it happened or 1 month before it happened. Yeah,
I missed this one.
Next time, phone me. We'll phone Jordi. We'll get onto all four of us. We'll get onto a call. We'll discuss it and we'll do it. Listen, much love, guys, and to the Banter fam. You guys hold on for 1 second. Let's do our giveaways because it is what it is. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this time I'm gonna say anybody that, because it's a Friday, anyone that has a NordVPN and a BYBIT account, when I draw the money and you have a BYBIT account and a NordVPN account, I double your winnings. Okay, that's fair. If you have a VPN account, a NordVPN account, and a BYBIT account, double your winnings. Let's choose our BYBIT winner. I have a new hat. The hat has a pom-pom. It's all good. Kyle, hit the random number generator. Tell me which box I'm hitting.
Okay, I need to get that.
Okay, let me get a random number generator for you.
I'll be quicker than you.
No, you won't.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, okay, 5,400 people. Okay, 5,400 people. Let's pick a winner, generate a number, and the number is 1,978. And the box is, of course, box number 2, right? Because box number 2 is always good. Have they all selected box number 2? Tell me they've all selected box number 2. Come on. Have they selected box number 2? In the meantime, box number 1 has... Wait, which box did they select?
I'm almost there. That seems like the internet is really slow.
Okay. Box number 1 has $1,250.
You know, I have to always pick that up on Monday.
Box number 3 has... Wow.
How much?
I'm going to leave this one here. And we'll do box number 3 last. Box number 2. It's quite heavy. Box number 2.
That's the winning box, by the way.
Which one? 3.
2.
2 is the winning box.
39.3%.
Okay. So the winning box number 2 gets... What do you think?
$5. 500. That's not
$500. But hold on. If you are line number 1978 and you do have a NordVPN, it gets doubled to 1,000. So, but you got to prove that you had your NordVPN before I chose you. If not, go and support NordVPN. What was that? 197?
just got your generator.
19. I think it was
973 or something.
1978. Carl, you can't make mistakes like that. That's someone's money you're dealing with, bro. Okay. So here we go. That's the winner. They win $500. You remember giveaways at cryptobanter.com if you want it. What was in box number 3? What was in box number 3? What was in box number 3?
Oh, you see, lucky.
$69.
Perfect.
I will see you guys again on Monday. Until then, trade well, my friends. I feel like it's so Christmassy.
Yeah,
I feel like
feels like a family.
I feel like it's part of the. I feel like I'm part of the cartoon channel when that plays.
It's like a family.
Well, hold on. Play it again. Oh, someone says, what was the account number? Stop. Hold the phone. Get the sheet down. Okay, the account number was 267000094. Account number. The account number was 267000094. See you guys again on Monday. Until then, trade well, my friends.